There's a light in the sky, rising in the air. There's a feeling so strong. It's time to light the fire, like a bright shining light. Learn, getting more out of life. Love, sharing time with friends, feeling so strong.
Hello and welcome to the House of Wellness. I'm Luke Darcy, joined by my great friend, as always, Joe Stanley. Hello, Joe.
Hi, Darcy. It's lovely to be here, as always. While restrictions have thankfully eased across many parts of Australia, we here in Victoria are back in lockdown and wearing masks, which is a bit of a blow.
Sure is. We're getting pretty good at this by now, Joe. How are you and the family doing with lockdown Mark 2, can I ask?
We're doing okay, but I will say remote learning Mark 2 is very challenging, and my daughter doesn't have any siblings, so she's pretty lonely, which is a bit of a challenge.
I think we've got too many siblings in our household. There's a few fights going on at the moment, but all in all pretty good. And we're lucky to be able to bring you some positive stories, some stories of hope. And it's incredible what people can do when times get tough, Joe. And today we'll meet a very special girl who's turned her love of dogs into a thriving business.
We're all spending a lot more time at home, and can I say, since I've been doing so much yoga, can't you tell, I am on the floor a lot more, so there's a whole other world down there. Let me tell you, we've got the inside word on the hidden health dangers found on the home front, and not just on the floor.
And Joe, we check out an interesting topic, thyroid conditions. They're more common than you would think and often go undiagnosed.
And Hinesy meets Home and Away's Ada Nicodemo, who gives up her tricks into better health and well-being.
While travel and interstate holidays still feel a long way off, today we're taking you on a virtual trip to beautiful far north Queensland. Amongst the pandemic, a very special marine rescue program is continuing its great work in saving the sea turtles.
I just love turtles, Darcy. 6 of the world's 7 species of marine turtles are on the Great Barrier Reef, and many of them are threatened by a range of natural and man-made factors. It's great to know that places like the Cairns Turtle Rehabilitation Centre is dedicated to helping these gorgeous creatures.
Every turtle that we rehabilitate and release back out into the wild makes a difference. If they go back in and they become a breeding female or a breeding male, they've added to the population. We can't say one turtle doesn't make a difference. Every turtle makes a difference. And it certainly makes a difference to that turtle.
To say marine biologist Jenny Gilbert is obsessed with turtles is an understatement. She's devoted her life to saving them. Of the world's 7 species of turtles, 6 are found on the Great Barrier Reef. And on Fitzroy Island, an hour's boat ride off the shore of Cairns, Jenny and her team spend their days nursing injured turtles back to health.
Good girl, good girl.
For over 2 decades, Jenny's run the Cairns Turtle Rehab. And in that time, she's increased the survival rate for her patients from 30% to 80%.
Yep, and we lifted it. Colleen, you with us? When we had a success rate of about 30%, people used to think turtles on the surface, you know, they didn't worry, they thought, oh, that's great, they're on the surface. But through education and awareness, people now recognise that if a turtle's on the surface and it's not diving down, it's got problems. So we're getting them in a lot quicker, and they can be treated a lot quicker and then released back out into the wild.
Jenny started the rehab centre with her own funds and has kept it afloat through donations and volunteers. But at the core is her absolute focus on caring for and preventing these rare creatures from disappearing altogether.
Floater syndrome is what we mainly see here, and it can be caused by ingestion of marine debris, obviously plastics, straws, fishing line. So what's happening there is we're getting this build-up of gas. It's causing blockages, as I said, in the intestine or gas under their shell, and they're actually floating to the surface. So that is the main thing we see. Yeah, don't look at me like that.
Shelby is a green sea turtle. She suffered from floater syndrome after eating fishing line. The line got trapped in her intestine and caused her to float to the surface, where she was struck by a boat.
Because their shell is actually made of keratin like our fingernails, it actually went through her shell. When she came in, her shell was just an absolute mess. There was, like, you could see all the shell parts and things. So as you can see, I mean, she's really been doing well.
Shelby is almost finished with rehab and will be released soon. She'll be joined by her neighbour Louie, an Olive Ridley from Cape York, who's been recovering at the centre for 3 years.
He actually was caught in ghost nets, entanglement. He took off his own front flipper, he wore it off with the nylon, and when he came down from Cape York, his back flipper was so badly damaged that his back flipper had to be amputated. And so he actually worked out that he can use his tail as his other rudder.
Whilst most turtles can survive with only 3 flippers, it's rare to see them get by with just 2.
Look, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking for everybody. You know, it's these discarded fishing nets that are floating through the ocean, ghost nets. They're indiscriminate killers. Many turtles don't get found, as with other marine animals. They sink to the bottom and that's it. So, you know, you have to look at him and go, he's a fighter and he was a lucky turtle to be found, and he's lucky he's going to go back out into the wild. Look at her, she's just doing so well. She's amazing.
It's amazing. The whole centre is amazing.
While Jenny and her team have an undeniable bond with each animal, the goal is to return as many of them to the wild as possible. Those moments are what have kept volunteers like Ashley Maguire coming back for 10 years.
So much excitement leading up to the release, and then once they get down to the beach, you can tell when they start to sense the water and smell the water, and they get really excited at that point. And once we let go of them, they propel away as fast as they can, and we all wait for them to come up for a big breath of air off the shoreline, and they'll come up for a big breath of air and we all cheer and cry and hug, and it's the best time, definitely.
Everybody got their fins in? Everybody got their fins in? Okay.
This one's out.
And you know, they traverse the ocean thousands of kilometres in between their breeding grounds and feeding grounds. So I think everybody needs to look at responsibility, and everybody needs to step forward and say, you know, these animals, we're going to lose them if we don't look after them. So you can just see that something's got to cause these holes here. People just need to look at, you know, what they're doing. Stop using plastic. Stop using plastic straws. Polystyrofoam balls. Stop throwing things over the side of boats. If you've got a fishing line, don't just cut it off and throw it over. Look around you and think about things and say, you know, what am I doing to these animals? And what can I do to prevent it?
In the 20 years they've been operating, the success rate in rehabilitating sick and injured animals and returning them to the ocean has improved from 30% to 85%, which is a fantastic result.
So great. We saw young Molly and her fight against plastic straws last week, and here's yet another reminder to cut back on waste and plastics.
Good message, can't say that enough. Up next, we look at the often undetected thyroid disorders that affect 1 in 10 Australians. Plus, Heinzie catches up with a home and away star right here on the House of Wellness. Welcome back, Joe. I reckon we're getting better at our human biology pop quizzes.
All right, well, we've covered a lot of conditions since we've been doing the House Wellness Star, so what have you got for us?
Well, most of us have heard of thyroid, but how many of us know exactly what it is?
Well, let me tell you, it's a small butterfly-shaped gland in the neck near the base of the throat that helps control many of the body's most important functions. How is that?
That was seriously impressive, Joe. Got to pay some credit there.
1 in 10 Australians, mostly women, will be affected by a thyroid disorder, but they often go undiagnosed, as 2 local women found out.
Is it yummy? Yeah?
Today, Emma Hegg, mother of 3 boys, is fit, active and well. But after her first boy was born, life was very different.
I started to just feel a little bit unwell. I started to feel very, very tired. My skin was really dry. I was exercising as much as I normally would, but I wasn't losing any weight, or I was gaining weight steadily.
When her symptoms became too much, Emma finally went to her GP.
I expected to be, have some blood tests and be told that my iron was low maybe, or something along that kind of lines. But I was told that my TSH level, which I'd never heard of before, was elevated.
Emma was suffering from an overactive thyroid, or hypothyroidism, caused by an autoimmune condition called Hashimoto's.
I'd never even heard of what a thyroid gland was. I didn't even know that it really existed, so I went and hit Google pretty hard. And what I found was a lot of confusing technical information that I found very, very hard to decipher.
The thyroid gland's commonly described as being butterfly-like in shape, and this wraps around the trachea or windpipe, sitting just in front of it, but quite low in the neck, around about here. And basically there are two lobes to the thyroid, a left and a right lobe.
Endocrinologist Dr. Simon Foran treats the full spectrum of thyroid disorders, from structural to functional.
It's actually really hard to explain what the thyroid does. So in general, we'll say that the thyroid's important for metabolism and well-being, but that really doesn't tell people much. So invariably, we will regularly try to illustrate what the thyroid does by discussing what happens when the thyroid's overactive or underactive.
In Emma's case, her thyroid gland was underproducing vital hormones crucial to controlling all kinds of functions in the body.
When the thyroid's underactive, there's a lack of thyroid hormone production. So the manifestations or the symptoms of hypothyroidism from this deficiency of thyroid hormone show as weight gain, constipation, fatigue, at times sort of somnolence and lethargy, and it can be dry skin and hair changes as well.
I was getting a rapid heartbeat, and it almost felt like it was pounding out my chest all the time. I was at work one day and I had a panic attack, and that was quite frightening.
At the other end of the spectrum, Marnie Shaw was dealing with very different symptoms from Emma's.
With an overactive thyroid or hyperthyroidism. So a lot of the symptoms of hyperthyroidism, the likes of racing of the heart, feeling hot and sweaty, insomnia, loose or frequent bowel motions, and at times weight loss despite an increase in oral intake.
Marnie was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition called Graves' disease, which meant her thyroid was overproducing hormones.
Within weeks, even a week of having medication, I'd stop feeling my heart beating in my chest. So it was amazing. So they said it could take up to 6 weeks, but straight away that stopped and I didn't feel my heart beating anymore. And the anxiety definitely, I'd say, completely stopped.
With the right medication, Emma's life too has done a complete about-face.
I started to just feel so much better. I started to feel like I could exercise and it wasn't an issue. I started to feel like I could go about my day and things were, just felt more normal.
Certainly thyroid conditions are incredibly prevalent. So we know that about 10% of women have evidence of underlying thyroid autoimmunity, even those that are asymptomatic. Thyroid nodular change is incredibly common. So with on ultrasound we can detect thyroid nodules in about 50% of 50-year-olds and approximately 70% of 70-year-olds.
Because the symptoms go hand in hand with what many women explain away as active lives caring for children, thyroid issues can often go undiagnosed.
Women are really busy usually, and especially mothers, and feeling tired is just part of the job. The lack of energy, the weight gain, all of those types of things, and I don't think that people probably recognise that could be part of a thyroid condition.
But although the symptoms may appear cut and dried, there are many factors to consider before making a solid diagnosis when it comes to thyroid.
Particularly with the symptoms being so vague and non-specific, it can be easy to miss. So people may attribute thyroid conditions to other things.
Definitely be going to the GP, explaining your symptoms and even asking for a thyroid test.
The Australian Thyroid Foundation wants everyone, especially women, to check your neck. Look for any unusual lumps, and if you have any concerns or symptoms, make an appointment with your GP.
Still to come, we unearth the hidden health dangers found around the home and the uplifting story of how grooming dogs gave new purpose to a special Melbourne pet lover. That's next on The House and Wellness. You're watching the House of Wellness. Well, Joe, during these tough times, we've talked a lot about our pets and how much joy and respite they've given us all.
Our family could not get by without our Labrador Daisy. Owning a pet improves your fitness and heart health by making you get outside for a walk or run. Patting an animal is soothing and lowers your blood pressure, and pets help us connect to other people. They're a great conversation starter too.
I ask you about Daisy every week.
Yeah,
what she's chewed, another couch, items of your clothing. Then, of course, there's the very special dogs, the assistance dogs, that are the eyes and ears for people with disabilities. They protect kids who suffer seizures, and they give comfort and support to people with emotion-related illnesses, Joe.
For one special Melbourne family, the care goes both ways. They've turned their love of dogs into a booming dog grooming business that's also given a makeover to the life of their daughter.
Sam was born preemie and very small and with a lot of issues. She couldn't feed properly and all her development was very delayed. So it wasn't really until she was around about 6 when we were told that she had an intellectual disability. One of the paediatricians told me that she would end up in a home and that her speech would never develop, and I just asked him for some tissues because I burst into tears, and that was the day definitively for my husband and I that our whole world changed.
And so began Christine Hughes' battle to carve a life for her daughter. It was a fight that produced some remarkable wins. Sam defied all early expectations, gradually learning to talk and attending a special school in Melbourne. But with every step forward, Sam faced a brand new set of challenges.
I have trouble learning, so sometimes I just like, I shouldn't be doing this, like, can I just leave? Just putting my mind to it is a little bit of a difficulty, but once I put my mind to it, my mind's into it. What's the matter?
As she approached the end of high school, Sam set her mind on one very specific goal.
Samantha particularly likes watching things over and over, and she fell in love with a particular dog show, and the commentator there was particularly good with dog grooming, and that's when she decided that's what I want to be. She was fixated on it. If you have a child who knows what they want to do, it's an absolute bonus. To have an ID child who has an idea of what they want to do, I was running with it. She did work experience in a couple of doggy daycare centres, which worked out pretty good for a little while until the staff changed and they didn't want to work with someone with an intellectual disability, and they ended. Then we looked at courses that she could do. She originally went to do a TAFE course, but she couldn't get into the grooming course there. So it took a lot of tenacity to find someone who would actually teach her to groom.
After a ton of rejections and false starts, Christine finally found a course willing to help Sam achieve her dream career. But mastering the art of pet grooming was no easy feat.
Some days were really tough. There would be days I'd pick her up in tears, crying all the way home, and some mornings in tears on the way, and I'd be saying, well, this is the real world, sweetheart. You're going to have to pick yourself up and you're going to have to do it again.
I washed dogs pretty much half the time I was there to get it right, and then I started grooming a little bit more and a little bit more. That was so hard. It was so mainstream because I wasn't really a mainstream kind of girl, but I got through it. As hard as it was, I got through it.
Over 12 long, exhausting months, Sam pushed herself to develop all the skills necessary to become a pet grooming pro. At the end of the year, Christine converted their home laundry into a mini dog salon and became the official manager of her daughter's new business.
We called it Sam's Dog Grooming, and it was basically never going to be a big income thing. It was more about keeping Samantha occupied. But word got around.
Over the next 4 years, Sam slowly but surely gained a reputation as one of the best dog groomers in Melbourne.
Because she's quite a relaxed person, the dogs tend to pick up on that as well, and they just love her.
Dogs kept coming and coming. It's like, ah! And we had to move because it got too big.
Leaving behind their tiny laundry space, Christine and Sam upgraded to a much bigger venue, becoming the proud founders of the Dog Dazzlers Grooming and Daycare Centre.
not being happy just to do it half-hearted. You know, I went the whole hog.
Today, the Dog Dazzlers have so many loyal customers that Sam has 7 fellow groomers working alongside her, including her older sister, Jennifer.
I'm so proud. I'm so, so proud. I can't imagine me doing anything different. The whole experience is so much fun. I love it, and I still love it to this day.
I wouldn't have it set up any other way. I wouldn't have anything in the story change because that's what's got us where we are today.
Did you know, Joe, that Aussie households spend an estimated $12 billion a year on pampering their 4-legged family members? Tell me this, what's the most extravagant thing that you've bought for Daisy?
Well, given everything that she is given is destroyed within 20 minutes, even the toughest of dog toys, so she gets a new one every week and that's it. That's as extravagant as it gets. But it's also interesting how we come to choose the breed of dog we own. The old saying, the dog looks like the owner, is sometimes true. I hope I don't look like a Labrador. Do you look like Dennis?
Not sure about that either, but it is uncanny sometimes when you go to a dog breeder and they look exactly like the dog that they choose to breed. I've known people who look exactly like their dog, or is it the other way around? What do you think?
What, the dog becomes like the owner? I don't know, but you look very much like a Staffy. Here's something I do know, Daz. Almost 2/3 of Victorians have never smoked a cigarette. More people are choosing not to light up, with an extra 200,000 smokers giving up the habit in 2019, which is fantastic. That's compared to a decade ago.
Well, that shows that there has been a change in attitudes over recent years, which is definitely encouraging, Joe.
It really is. So if you are considering giving it away, why not do it now? Just give it a go. There's lots of help and support to help you through it all. All you have to do is ask.
The modern woman really has invested in her styling devices, whether it be a hairdryer, curling wand, we have it all. And although it looks amazing, we're adding a lot of heat to our hair, which can leave it looking dry and damaged. So Sarah, how is your hair feeling today?
I don't know, I haven't asked it.
Well, it's good sometimes to check in. Our hair can be dry, damaged, and sometimes even stressed.
Stressed hair? So what do I do about my stressed hair?
Having shiny, healthy and nourished hair doesn't just magically happen. We have to put in a little bit of effort to have beautiful, flowing, natural locks. So Sarah, there's a beautiful range I'm going to introduce you to today. It's the John Frieda Detox and Repair range.
Detox and repair, both sound like equally important things to do.
The Detox and Repair shampoo and conditioner are great staples in keeping your hair healthy. Once a week, you can switch out the conditioner for the Detox and Repair mask.
I'm very, very good. I excel at putting masks on my face, so I'm excited to see what happens when I put it on my hair.
Amazing.
It smells so good. You can really smell that avocado oil.
And the green tea.
Well, you know I'm a big fan of green tea.
I do, actually.
So you don't use a conditioner when you use a mask, or you can use both?
It's in replace of your conditioner. You know, you moisturise every day your skin, but then you'll once a week treat yourself and pop on a mask. It's the same thing, it's just for your scalp. So Sarah, you've washed your hair, it's beautifully nourished and ready to go for a bit of styling. But before we start that, we're going to add that extra layer of protection by spraying in a little bit of the Care and Protect spray. So just spray the mid to end section of the hair where we get most damage. Dry and damaged hair is a thing of the past. With a little TLC, can give your hair everything it deserves. Sarah, your hair looks so shiny and smells amazing. How does it feel?
So good. It hasn't looked this healthy in a long time.
Winter can not only play havoc with your hair, the wetter months can also create a host of problems within the home. High indoor humidity levels can lead to mould and create a breeding ground for dust mites. I've seen what's down there, Daz. It's a whole other world when you're doing your best downward dog.
And I think also because we're home a lot more, you notice the areas that might have gone under the cleaning radar, Jo.
It's true. Maintaining a healthy home is particularly important for Australia's 2.7 million asthma sufferers. And I caught up with Adele Taylor from the National Asthma Council to find out how we can all breathe easier on the home front. We're right smack bang in the middle of winter, lots of frosty, cold mornings. What impact do the colder months have on people with asthma and allergies?
So typically when it's colder, it can get a lot wetter. And when it's wet outside, it actually increases your indoor humidity within your home. And when you've got a higher indoor humidity, which means more moisture in your air at home, it can often be a breeding ground for bacteria, mould and dust mites.
What should we be looking out for in our homes then?
So in the way of, if you're thinking about indoor humidity, one of the most easy ways to spot that is to look at your windows when you wake up in the morning. And if you can see lots of condensation on your windows, you know that you've got a humidity issue. Otherwise, try and have a look out for mould. It often can hide in places that you wouldn't normally look, so in the back of cupboards, in your walk-in robes or your built-in robes and places like that. So they do hide. So it's really important to try and look for it and see if it's there, and then obviously clean it if it is.
What does mould look like? I don't think I would know.
It can actually look like quite a few different things. So you traditionally, most people would recognise mould, the green mould that grows on bread, but it can be white, it can be green, it can be blue, it can be sort of very powdery as well. So it has multiple different, I suppose, ways of existing.
So if I've seen this kind of thing in my cupboards or, anywhere in my home, can I clean it myself or do I need to have that professionally done?
We would normally say if you know that you have a sensitivity to mould or that is a trigger for your asthma or allergies, definitely get someone else to do it. Otherwise, you can do it yourself, but we'd always say make sure that you're wearing some nice thick rubber gloves, put a mask over your mouth and your nose, and then use a fermented vinegar-based product to actually be able to help remove it, because the most important thing with mould is to kill it at its source. So not just the visible mould that you can see, but where it's actually coming from as well.
So what's the best way to handle condensation if that's appearing on your window overnight?
So one of the best ways to look at it would be to make sure that you've got that air movement in your room. So if you sleep with your door closed in your bedroom, then you might find you have a build-up of moisture within the air, which is what will cause the condensation on your windows. So see if you can sleep with the door open, or if you have a fan on really low, even if it's not pointing on you, but just in the room somewhere, just to make sure that you've got that air circulation.
And what about dust mites?
Dust mites are really scary. So they can be anywhere, and they are one of the biggest triggers that people in Australia seem to have with regards to their asthma and allergies. So you'll find them in places like beds and couches, soft toys, blankets, and in your carpets as well. So with your bedding and things like that, we always suggest washing it in hot water, hotter than 55 degrees, and that'll kill all the dust mites. If you've got things like soft toys for your kids, you can always actually pop them in your freezer, and when they freeze and then bring them out again, that will also kill all the dust mites as well.
What advice then would you give to asthma sufferers to get through winter the best they can, protecting their health?
So I would definitely suggest looking at your ventilation within your home. If it is nice outside, try and see if you can open a couple of windows just to get a bit of airflow through. Again, using those extractor fans. The other big thing that we'd say is if you do see mould, as well as getting it cleaned, is look to put some, say, moisture-absorbing crystals in the back of your cupboards, which will help pull away that moisture. Or if you find you've got a really bigger issue, you might need to look at getting a dehumidifier to actually extract some of that moisture from the air.
Well, some of the places bacteria like to hang out around the house include the kitchen sink, your TV remote control, dishwashing sponges and used tea towels. Jo, have you used extra time to do any of those spring cleans everyone's doing in isolation?
Not as much as everybody is doing, but I have cleaned out, the clothes that don't fit anymore. For Willow, not for me. I mean, that's ISO weight. Anyway.
Well, from maintaining a healthy home to the queen of home and away, Luke Hines catches up with TV star Ada Nicodemu right after this on the House and Wellness. Welcome back. This is the House of Wellness, and one of our best loved stars of the small screen is Home and Away's Ada Nicodemu. The busy mum and charity campaigner has played Leah on the show for 20 years.
It's amazing. In true soapy style, Ada's character has survived everything from losing her husband to anxiety, racism and everything else Summer Bay has thrown at her. Hinesy caught up with her to try to steal some spoilers about what's coming up on the popular show and to find out how Ada keeps her radiant glow.
Ada, I got to say, you're one of the most recognisable faces on Australian TV. Home and Away, Dancing with the Stars, and I got to say, my favourite, Heartbreak High. Oh. Tell me,
how old are you?
I know, it's revealing my age, right?
I know.
Yeah. And Police Rescue.
Yes. Okay. Wow.
Now, apart from all of that, what's the most normal aspect of your life that people wouldn't expect?
Well, I'm a mum, but I don't know, I'm a real homebody. Like, I like just pottering around at home. I love cleaning. I'm all about cleaning my kitchen and my bathroom. I don't know. I don't really like going out.
Well, it's good to know that one of Australia's leading actresses also likes to do cleaning, so that's going to keep people happy at home.
Yep.
Now, Ada, you're really well known for playing Leah Patterson on Home and Away. What would you say one of the most rewarding things about having a profile is?
Look, I don't want this to sound corny, but I really feel like you can make someone's day. It's really nice when you see that in a little kid, or you just sort of bring joy to people's lives and just entertaining people. Like, everyone likes to be entertained, so it's really lovely that I can do that.
Now, you are busy, you're a very busy actress, and you're also a mum. When you do get any downtime, what do you do to relax and switch off?
Oh, I love reading. I love eating. I really like exercising as well. I try and exercise every day just because it's just something nice to do for myself. And playing with my son. I just love playing with him, yeah.
How does this view compare to Summer Bay, Ada?
It's pretty much the same, actually. It's a really good view.
I have to say, I want to be really honest. Before the cameras were rolling, I did say to you, your skin looks absolutely incredible. What does beauty mean to you?
Beauty, I think, is about confidence. It's about feeling good within yourself, you know, just sort of knowing who you are and just having the confidence to get outside and face the world.
How do you go about achieving that confidence?
So you've got to look after yourself, definitely. You've got to exercise, you've got to eat well. I love looking after my skin, so I like to cleanse and moisturise and have facials and all of that. I now have that confidence because I am sort of supplementing and taking Nature's Way Beauty Collagen tablets 3 in the morning, or if I'm having a smoothie, then I put the powder in the smoothie. In the afternoon, I like to use their gummies because they're really gummy.
Hang on, so normal gummies? Or
No, Nature's Way Beauty Collagen
They've got
gummies.
collagen in them?
They do.
What have you noticed since taking them?
Well, actually, a lot of people have noticed my skin. You know, I just think it feels like dewier and softer, and my hair's a lot thicker as well. But yeah, I think your skin texture just looks better.
Is there an importance for you feeling comfortable being makeup-free?
Look, you know, I'm a girl. Like, we love our makeup, right? Yeah. And when I'm going out, I love getting dressed up and putting on makeup and putting on a pair of heels. Like, I love it. But you know, trying to wear makeup every day is exhausting, and you shouldn't have to. It's also really lovely just to be able to go down the street with no makeup on, you know, and just feel confident within yourself, not having to put anything on your face.
I can't sit here with the Leah Patterson and not ask for the inside scoop. I mean, are there going to be some invasions from Gabby Creek? Is there going to be a hostage situation?
Absolutely.
A wedding? What's going on? Give us the
all
scoop.
Of that.
Oh.
All of that. In a year, you can expect at least a death, at least a wedding, some sort of invasion, maybe an earthquake.
Oh, I'll be there with bells on.
We do love a good statistic right here on the House of Wellness, Joe, and we love our food. So here's one I know you're going to enjoy. 9 in 10 Aussies are regular snackers. And take a guess what the favourite choice for snack food is.
Well, my snack food is always chocolate. So is it chocolate?
Close, Joe. Potato chips are on top of the list, followed by chocolate. For you, sweet biscuits and ice cream. Muesli bars and crackers haven't quite managed to knock them off the top just yet, Joe.
Yeah, it's not really as fun, is it? Muesli bars and crackers has chocolate and chips, I understand it. But when it comes to snacking, I do try to have a healthy option in the cupboard. Not like Hines, who just whips one up whenever he feels a bit peckish. I wish I had that skill. It's what he's done this week with a munchy solution that really is the bomb.
Today I'm going to show you how to make a fat bomb. And you're thinking, what, a fat bomb? Yes. When people go low carb or keto, what they do is they swap out processed and refined sugars and replace it with good healthy fats. Now, the key is making a recipe that makes you feel fuller for longer. These fat bombs are all about satiation. The first thing you want to do is start by melting down your cacao butter. Now, cacao butter is solid at room temperature, which is going to come in handy later so that these fat bombs don't melt in your hand. Next, we're going to put in the coconut oil. Now, coconut oil, of course, we know is great to cook with, but it's fantastic for healthy desserts because it helps them set when it hits the fridge or freezer. MCTs are actually derived from coconut oil. It's a type of fat found in the oil itself. MCT stands for medium chain triglyceride, and this particular medium chain fatty acid is a fantastic source of energy for us human beings. It's great for brain function, energy, mood regulation, and satiation. The last thing that we need to add to the pot is coconut butter. Now, coconut butter is the flesh of the inside of the coconut ground up into a beautiful buttery paste. It is quite firm, so what we need to do is add it to the heat so that it softens down. Give it a whisk, doesn't take too long. Once everything's well combined, remove it from the heat and set it aside to cool slightly. Transfer your mixture to a bowl, and then all we need to do now is stir in our sweetener. You could use honey, maple syrup, or monk fruit syrup. Give it a little bit of a whisk, and that will thicken up absolutely perfectly. And as you're whisking, you want to then pour in your macadamias. And then last but not least, all you need to do is add your toasted shredded coconut. I always think that this recipe is like a healthy, kind of like white chocolate crackle. It's bumpy, it's chocolatey, it's toasted, it's golden. The macadamias and the toasted coconut give you a really beautiful crunch. Prepare a silicone mould or a muffin tray lined with paper liners and pour your mixture into each hole. I'm just going to transfer these to the freezer for 20 to 30 minutes until they set firm, then they're good to go.
So, Joe, you mentioned you've been getting into some yoga during lockdown. I, too, have been having a go at yoga alongside my wife, who's frustratingly a yoga instructor. It makes it look so easy, which sort of really frustrates me.
Not a competition, does.
Well, it feels like a competition, Joe. But have you seen the yoga domes that originated in Canada? They look fantastic as part of the ability to socially distance.
Yeah, they look so toasty warm in there too, which is, you know, hot yoga is so fashionable. I haven't never done that, but yeah.
Ooh, yeah, it's hard work. Bikram yoga.
Yeah, right. You're into that?
Well, long story.
For another time. But I like this idea because you're on your own, but you're with a group of people at the same time, because I think exercising at home is really hard to motivate yourself.
Yeah, basically we're talking about big personal bubbles, designed and built in Canada, as I said. They're about 2 by 4 metres in size and have built-in heating systems, as you said. You can also crank it up and do a hot yoga session if that's what you want to do. What do you think about that, Joe?
I would totally do that. I would love that. So much better than trying to do a downward dog with my dog's face in my face, which is what tends to happen. I think the dome would be a huge hit with Heinzie as well. He loved the paddleboard yoga in Hawaii last year, so he doesn't mind a bit of yoga with a twist. The other thing he enjoys is his time with Gerald Quigley, and this week they're back in the kitchen, and this time battling for immunity.
GQ, cooking is such a sensory experience, and I'm not just talking about your taste buds. What are some of your favourite aromas when you hit the kitchen?
My favourites: freshly brewed coffee, curry, a roast, but nothing beats the smell of freshly baked bread.
I tend to agree, GQ, which is why my garlic and rosemary cauliflower bread is on the menu today. And what I particularly like is that it's fantastic for those who are gluten intolerant.
Not just that, Heinzie, but you mentioned garlic. Now, garlic is so important for efficient immune function. That protects us from common colds and flu.
Which is perfect at this time of year, right?
Yes, it is. Now, remember, it's not the cold weather that causes us to become unwell, but viruses are transferred much more readily in cooler weather. And that's why at this time of the year in Australia, southern states, we tend to see more people who are unwell.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've all got that friend that no matter what they do, they always get sick any time of year.
Well, I have a herb that I need to tell you about that they can keep an eye out for, Heinzie, and it's called ashwagandha. Very, very commonly used in Ayurvedic or Indian medicine. This is a little shrub, been around for 3,000 years, shown to be really important in stress. It's an adaptogen. Means that our body copes better with stress and our immune system's really under stress when it's trying to fight infection.
It sounds like a fantastic natural resource.
And I've got another natural resource available for immune function, Heinzie, and that's vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin.
And that's because it's produced when our skin is exposed to sun. It's found in very few foods.
And it's very important, Heinzie, that we absorb this nutrient because it reinforces our immune system and helps reduce our risk of infection.
And despite them being natural, they're still very elusive, especially in winter.
Heinzie, I have a solution for you. Each of these ingredients is available in supplement form.
And in addition, with this delicious garlic and rosemary cauliflower loaf, your immune system will be thriving, as will your taste buds. I gotta say, mate, this looks incredible, but that aroma, I cannot wait to tuck in.
My senses are singing, Heinzie. I don't care how hot it is. Cut me off a slice, please.
Right, mate. The A to Z of Vitamins is brought to you by new Ethical Nutrients Immune Fighter. Fight illness this winter with Immune Fighter.
Hey Joe, before we go, I know you love your street art, and in light of the latest directives to wear a mask here in Victoria, I thought you'd enjoy this latest artwork from the legendary street artist Banksy, and his message is to wear a mask.
I did see that, Dars. He's hit the underground dressed as a cleaner, stenciling his famous rats, doing all kinds of things with face masks, sneezing, parachuting, holding bottles of sanitizer, along with some powerful messaging. And then he edited it to music.
Yeah, it was brilliant, and a great twist on the track too, Joe. I get locked down and I get up again. Very, very clever, Banksy.
Apart from the important message, those rats must be worth a fortune.
Well, people try to actually take the concrete for themselves and send it back to their house.
Yeah.
Probably, you know, not really the point of street art, it has to be.
It is for the people, yes.
Well, that's our show for today. You can find more information on our website, houseofwellness.com.au, and by tuning into the House of Wellness radio show with Joe and GQ every Sunday, you'll also hear more of the Best of You with Joe and Emma Murray on the podcast, the same name. How do we find that, Joe?
Yes, it's called Best of You in the House of Wellness. It's fantastic for at the moment. If you're struggling with a little bit of mental health issues, you're wanting something to lift your mood a bit, check it out. You can download it at podcastoneaustralia.com.au.
Yeah, look forward to that as always, Joe. And thanks to our great friends at Chemist Warehouse. Stay well, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.